Never particularly cared about Balloon Fiesta until last year. I went, and this is right when I had decided I wanted to do something other than portrait photography. And Balloon Fiesta was one of my first ideas. And although I didn't exactly find what I was looking for, I must admit I had kind of a blast doing it. And more than that, I saw a lot of potential, unexplored potential. So I've been looking forward to trying again. All year, really.
I'll take that and I'll hold it like a little baby. Awesome.
Thank you.
Got it?
Yep.
Okay. I will not drop anyone's camera. That's my goal.
I appreciate that.
Could you imagine?
It's a little past 4 a.m. on the first day of the Albuquerque International Balloon Fiesta. Besides last year, it had been something like 15 years since I'd gone. It's actually something I actively dread because of its impact on traffic conditions. It just becomes impossible to go anywhere.
We're going to be coming up to the bottom of the Balloon Fiesta Park here. I'll turn on my lights. Make sure you get all your belongings, your phones, cameras, anything like that that you brought.
Thus, these school buses, which is really the only way to get there without waiting in traffic for hours. But I don't mean to be a grump. Like, a sky filled with pretty balloons is maybe it's worth the traffic inconvenience. I will tell you, more than shooting balloons, though, I was looking forward to doing some night street photography. Unfortunately, though, by the time I arrived, I was in quite a lot of pain. I have a medical thing going on, which will be resolved shortly via surgery. But it was impacting my ability to walk around, and it was certainly dampening my creativity and my desire to shoot. I was on the floor drinking tea for the first hour or two I was there, and then eventually I did convince myself to get out there and start shooting, but I was certainly not in the right headspace to do so. That being said, I am glad I forced myself to get up, glad I shot. It's not exactly what I had in mind, but I kind of liked what I ended up getting. I mean, nothing is amazing so far, but I have good memories of doing it. I enjoyed it at the time. I wish I had the courage to find more opportunities to be out at night shooting. Unfortunately for me, I own a Ring video doorbell, which I get notifications nonstop about a different sort of shooting in my area every single night. Literally, like at least 2 or 3. Younger me wouldn't have been scared off by that. I miss that guy. I don't miss his shitty photography though. But isn't that a funny thought? You long to improve, you work hard at it, and you finally do, and your reward is that you hate all your work that you've ever done before. Well, that's just super. Where do I sign up for that? I really like that shot. That's the first one that's got me excited. I feel like you can hear those people cheering, even when you can't. It's got energy to it, and a good balance. What do I mean by balance? I don't have a formal photography education, but it's one of the little compositional tricks that I've invented for myself. There's a thing at the top left that calls your attention, and therefore I place a thing at the bottom right that also calls your attention. Not in every case, but that is one of the compositional techniques that I have come up with for myself that seem to work and make me happy. And this is actually another example of it. It's like, in my mind, one big balloon equals all of these little balloons. And then I always imagine it's like on a scale. And I try to compose the shot so that the scale doesn't tip over. That being said, it wasn't a particularly great shot, but that is what I was thinking while it was going on. For whatever that's worth. I also think a lot in terms of open and closed. And maybe this is a bad example, because the left side is a little ambiguous, but the right side is definitely closed here. And that's another technique I use a lot, although none of these are good examples of it. But I'll often have one side closed and the other side open, or both sides closed. But of course there's tons of room to play. I think it's just helpful, similar to say highlights and shadows, to just kind of have a binary way of thinking that you can go into. Because you may have to pop off a composition extremely fast, so something has to guide you and it has to be fast, so closed and open is something I think of, and whatever the fuck the other one I said. Oh, balance. Balance is kind of like you desire symmetry, but it's not possible. So you settle for balance. Oh, I like this shot. This is my next favorite shot. The ground is of course closed, but I left the sky completely open in that nothing is overlapping with the edge of the frame, so it just feels infinite up there. Also notice the big balloon at the bottom is not dead center, and that's because there are more small balloons on the left and my brain is balancing them out as if on a scale. And here's me just being an absolute creep and photographing strangers from a distance. Maybe I shouldn't be doing that. Maybe that's a bad habit left over from wedding photography, wherein that's the job. More than fair game. The bride definitely wants photos of her wedding guests. I don't know, but is this a portrait of this guy? Is it okay because he's silhouetted? I mean, there are 9 billion cameras going off, and maybe you just sign off on the fact that if you go to an event like this, you're gonna show up in somebody's images. It's not like I'm shooting into somebody's window. I don't know though. Is privacy even a thing anymore? Or did it ride straight out of Balloon Fiesta Park on a horse and buggy drinking a hot cup of sassafras? That's kind of what it feels like, honestly. My first photography job ever, and this is going back a long ways, was for a newspaper. I would regularly have to get photos of accidents that the people involved no doubt didn't want me to get. That doesn't mean I have to be an asshole now. Doesn't mean I was right then. I don't know. I just need to think about all this some more. And all of a sudden I'm feeling a little exposed and insecure. Nothing like sitting down in front of a microphone to provoke a little bit of uncomfortable self-introspection. Oh, right, balloons. I'm so fucking terrible at this. Balloons. Yeah. So the wife was here too, although we were long separated by this point. I told her not to rely on the fact that I was taking photos, that she did need to take her own photos on her phone, because my photos were not going to be pretty wide shots showing the sky filled with balloons. I knew that that wasn't what I was after, although that is a very noble goal, and that certainly better represents the event itself. For some reason that interests me not at all, photography-wise. So that was about it. We stayed for a couple hours, we left. Job done. Mission accomplished.